Our news is brought to you by Alive.
Coming up tonight, the former DPM calls new government lots discriminatory. This as Turnquest also clashed with the House Speaker. Plus, just how much has NIB paid out in the last 18 months? Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina Dragovich. Topping news tonight, former Finance Minister and East Grand Bahama MP Peter Turnquest blasting government's plans for a new residential community in Western New Providence just for young professionals. Turnquest says aside from legal challenges that can arise, the Access to Affordable Homes Amendment Bill 2021 is outright discriminatory.
This bill is extremely worrisome to me, as it is inherently discriminatory on many fronts, though well-intentioned. I get the laudable intent, but in my mind, this bill goes against the principle of fairness and equal treatment under the law and invites a court challenge. I recommend finding another way.
Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis has explained that government is looking to sell high-end lots in Western New Providence for as low as $50,000, with a number of concessions for young professionals. Turnquest says every Bahamian citizen is an equal taxpayer. He adds the bill is Nassau-centric and seeks to provide tax concessions to one group over another.
What if a young professional is unlucky in receiving one of these lots? Why should they be penalized in the compounding of insult to injury? They're having to pay full price for their own lot, as well as full customs duties for the construction of a home and property taxes, while across the fence, their friend and neighbor is fully exempted and subsidized.
Well, the East Grand Bahama MP also clashing with House Speaker Halton Moultrie in Parliament as he sought to defend Acting Financial Secretary Marlon Johnson. This comes 2 days after Moultrie spoke of an alleged interaction he had with an atheist man in finance who he felt disrespected him. Kyle Joaquin has.
In your commentary, Mr. Speaker, you unfortunately inadvertently misled the House when you chastised the Acting Financial Secretary for discontinuing
Honorable member.
And that was how it all started. East Grand Bahama MP Peter Turnquest coming to the defense of his former colleague, Acting Financial Secretary Marlon Johnson, after Moultrie brought up an interaction he had with Johnson to Parliament and addressed it from the chair. Only problem is, Moultrie says he never said Johnson's name.
The remarks I made with respect to the person that I addressed, I thought about those remarks before I made them, and I stand by them. I don't see them as an attack on a civil servant.
But if we were to take a look back at Moutrie's statement on Tuesday, he also brought up the fact that Johnson is an atheist, a belief he doesn't support.
To be an atheist sits across the table from me, my first reaction is the devil is a liar.
In Parliament Thursday afternoon, Moultrie doubled down on why he brought it up.
He expressed his beliefs publicly. I have issues with those beliefs because they are inconsistent with mine.
Moultrie said he felt he was disrespected after he questioned why there would be no more food for parliamentarians last year and another issue concerning the budget. But as Turnquest sought to explain, again, he was cut off by the House Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, it would have been helpful if you had let me finish my...
Remember, you started off wrong.
No, Mr. Speaker.
You started off accusing the chair of attacking a civil servant.
With due respect, Mr. Speaker, you have a right to state your opinion. I have a right to state my opinion.
And your opinion cannot infringe on my rights.
I have not 1 minute. That is
exactly what I just expressed to you. You are infringing on my rights.
Eventually, Turnquest got to clear the air and explained that it was actually him who made the decision, not Johnson.
So I insisted on canceling that perk for both the cabinet and the legislative branches.
For Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
And more than 80,000 people received benefits to the tune of $263.6 million from the National Insurance Board over the last 18 months, according to Minister of National Insurance Brentzel Roll, who says more than $250 million in unemployment benefits and assistance was paid out between August 25, 2019 and May 18, 2021.
NIB has paid out more money than I could even count. The total in unemployment assistance alone, over $250 million has been paid out in 1 year. And when we think about those numbers, it is staggering.
According to Roll, 85,374 individuals benefited from this assistance.
I used to go to the Prime Minister and say, Chief, you had to give NIB $16 million this week. They had to come up with this money. The government said they broke because ain't no tourists coming and ain't nobody spending. Everybody looking to the government. But we found the money. We found the money.
Last year, the government began issuing payments through NIB for individuals impacted by the pandemic. It gives 13 weeks of support to individuals who have already received the legal limit of 13 weeks of unemployment benefit from NIB. It also extends the unemployment assistance program set up to cover those who would not normally qualify for the benefit. The government gave weekly payments of $200 when the program started last March.
Frustration at this time, and our people during this time are finding it difficult. But I continue to say to these individuals, we're doing our best. Things are tough. No tourists coming in, no money coming in, but we can get you some money.
And Minister of Public Service and National Insurance Brentzel Roll has denied that the Minnis administration cut 2,500 jobs in the public sector after assuming office in 2017. Roll making the comments as he contributed to the budget debate. Jasmine Brown reports.
Roll went on the defensive after Pine Ridge MP Frederick Macapine sought to table a Tribune article indicating that the Minnis administration reduced the public service by 2,500 after taking office.
That statement in the Tribune, if it's the Tribune that was endorsed and adopted by the member from Pine Ridge, is absolutely not true. Absolutely not true.
The government initially came under fire in 2018 following the release of unemployment statistics, which revealed that the rise in unemployment from 9.9% to 10.1% nationally was largely attributed to a more than 6% reduction of jobs in the public service. That survey provided data on the labor force as it existed during the reference period of October 30, 2017 through November 6, 2017. According to the Department of Statistics, jobs in government and government corporations decreased by 2,555 jobs. At the time the survey was released, Attorney General Carl Bethel suggested that the reduction resulted in more than $75 million in government savings. However, Roll maintained that the figure is not accurate. In fact, he said the FNM is often criticized by party members for not firing political hirees.
That is one of the things that we get killed for from our members, because they know that when the other side come to power, based on their record and based on what they have done, they send them home.
Roll said the government is now preparing to make more than 1,000 people enrolled in the 52-week job program permanent. He added that another 600 people who were on contracts have been made permanent since the Minnis administration came to office. According to Roll, even more people have been promoted between June 2017 and December 2020.
1,600 persons have been promoted in the system.
Now, when it comes to promotions that are pending, Roll says that number stands at 1,000. Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Some breeze passing through the capital this morning. Greg Thompson has the latest in the Weather Center.
Hey, Christina. Welcome everybody on this Thursday evening, a very warm one outside our studios. Temperatures near the 80-degree mark, 79 degrees outside our studios with few clouds. Those warm temperatures will continue as we get that southeasterly flow out of this tropics, bringing those warm temperatures at around 6 knots. Your feels-like temperature also in the upper 70s. Another Chamber of Commerce day around the islands. Very quiet weather around our areas. That high pressure remains firmly in charge, generating those east to southeasterly winds. And it's going to continue like that for the next day or two. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come, Bahamas Air's summer bookings taking off, plus a shipping delay leaves a Grand Bahama salesman in the lurch. Stay tuned.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
Bahamas Air is expecting an uptick in business this summer, resulting in an increase in flights to Florida in particular, as well as an increase in revenue. Berthany McDermott reports.
Heading into the summer months, Bahamas Air Managing Director Tracy Cooper says the airline is experiencing a boost in bookings. In fact, he says the summer schedule, which will be released this week, will reveal the airline is experiencing 65% of pre-COVID numbers.
We have been blessed by partnering with these entities in moving passengers for the cruise ships. So we've seen some boost from that. And then, of course, the vaccination protocols, the revised vaccination protocols, where if you're fully vaccinated, you don't have to worry about the testing.
Cooper said additional flights are in the works for Florida and local destinations. In early January, Bahamas Air Chairman Tommy Turnquest told the Nassau Guardian the airline reported $1.7 million in revenue in the month of December. While he couldn't provide specific figures, Cooper said the airline experienced marginal growth month over month since then.
We've seen a slow progression of the revenue increasing. It is encouraging that it is increasing. But we were still, up until a couple of weeks ago, we're still operating around 35% pre-COVID requirements. Anything beyond that would have simply placed too much capacity in the market.
The national flag carrier experienced crippling losses due to the global pandemic to the tune of $3.5 million per month up until December 2020. Government pumped nearly $40 million in support to the airline. He admitted, though, that there are some locations that are still lacking.
Haiti, we're not flying into Haiti at this time due to emergency orders. We're only flying once every 14 days into Cuba due to the Cuban authorities' limitations. So when we say 65%, that takes all of that into consideration as well, that we're just not flying how we used to all of our route locations.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
Well, a Grand Bahama car salesman left frustrated after discovering that several cars his company brought in would not be duty-free under the CERS order. He's now calling on government officials to step in, stating it's not his fault that the cars did not arrive in the country by the deadline. Jillian Gray has that.
This is a form I have here. It was approved from 2019, 2020, all the way up to 21. So that is saying that the person did not have any money in 2019, 2020, but they borrowed some money in 21 now to purchase a vehicle just to find out that it can't be done anymore.
It's a vexing problem that could cost his customers thousands of dollars. Car salesman Jason Martin says his customers are approved for the VAT exemption on a replacement vehicle following Hurricane Dorian, but customs won't release the cars.
Their dialogue is basically that it's over with, it's finished, it's too bad, you should have it here in the amount of time. And they say that to everyone as if that's it. My customers they're saddened about it. They're saying that they thought that the government would have been more lenient, would have had more heart, more compassion as they say they would have.
The Special Economic Recovery Zone order waived the tax for imported furniture, appliances, and cars. While that concession has been extended to June for many recovery items, the cutoff period for vehicles was April 2021. Nearly 20 of Martin's vehicles are affected by this, and he says it's not their fault. The shipping company was slow to bring in cars. With some customers hard-pressed to find the nearly $10,000 in duty, he's calling on government officials to intervene.
As long as a person has these paperwork, that they should honor it. It doesn't mean that you should turn them away. If they have it, that means this is a car that they did not bring in. That is a car that is missing from someone who, if they have an exempt paper in their hand.
Now, our news reached out to Customs Revenue Department Superintendent Audrey Curry, who says while they understand Martin's plight, their hands are tied as the deadline for the CERS exemption has passed. Permission can be given through the Ministry of Finance for the exemption, but that is unlikely, as Curry says. The Financial Secretary has already stated that the deadline, which was extended to April 2021, has passed. Reporting for our news, I'm Jillian Gray.
It's now time for tonight's Financial Market Minute, brought to you by RF, your local investment bank. This has been your Financial Market Minute. To explore the best performing mutual funds in the Bahamas, visit our website at www.rfgroup.com.
Still to come, is it time to eliminate the 10 p.m. curfew? And DeAndre Ayton and the Suns now up 2-0, plus Jazz still swinging a hot bat. The details when our news returns.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
This is our news. Welcome back. It's been 447 days since the nation was placed under curfew at the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. 63.5 weeks later, and some islands are curfew-free, but New Providence and Grand Bahama continue under 10 p.m. and 11 p.m. curfews, respectively. Jared Higgs explores whether people think it's time to eliminate the 10 p.m. curfew.
It does stop the spread and whatnot, but at the end of the day, people want their freedom.
Government took the drastic measure, among others, to prevent the spread of COVID-19 back in March 2020. It was a controversial decision, and saying not everybody agrees with it is an understatement. Some critics say it goes too far, since it prevents a person from, say, taking a solo walk after 10 p.m. But supporters of the curfew say it's a necessary sacrifice.
There are some people that need restrictions because then when you allow them too much freedom, they just go crazy. Perfect example. You allow someone to have a party. You tell them 20 people the max. When you see them posting, how much people do you see there? So the innocent suffering for the guilty.
3 weeks ago, the Governor General issued a new emergency proclamation, giving the competent authority an additional 6 months of emergency powers. Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis has routinely said that decisions on restrictions are based on advice from the medical experts. Critics say that advice from medical experts should also be weighed against the constitutional rights of individuals.
You can't keep people locked up for so long and expect them not to act out. So I'm leaning more to just ending it one time and just letting people have still some restrictions, but in the curfew.
But many say they've gotten accustomed to the curfew, and of course there's evidence to suggest that it has put a dent in crime. But how long can individuals and businesses endure?
It's next one like a little bit more freedom, you know? Because like, ambushing the curfew box, everything may still be closed, so still probably won't be able to do nothing. So.
Does that also make a difference? Because I mean, people going out and What's the difference of me getting in the house 10 o'clock or 11? No difference. And then a lot of businesses are suffering too.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jared Higgs.
Sports Minister Iram Lewis confident Bahamian athletes are ready for Tokyo. Marcellus Hall has that and more tonight in sports.
All right, thanks a lot. Welcome to our sports, everybody. I'm Marcellus Hall. This young lady behind me, Shawnee Miller-Weber, amongst others in our Olympic tribe, will all be looking forward to competition come this July. As it stands, the Olympic Games are still on. Yesterday, the Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture addressing this issue in his speech. He says our athletes will definitely be ready.
Our top world-class athletes are poised to compete on the biggest global stage for sports, the Olympic Games. And again, there are waves of uncertainty. One day it's on, one day it's off. But it's looking like it's more on now than off. One thing we do know for sure, whether the Olympic is on or off, our athletes will be ready. Ready to run, jump, throw, and swim.
DeAndre Ayton and the Phoenix Suns continue to impress in these NBA playoffs. Last night, Game 2 of their best-of-7 semifinal series against the Denver Nuggets. Suns already up 1-0, looking to take a 2-0 lead with another win on their home floor. And they would most certainly get the job done, pulling away in the second half and cruising to a comfortable 123-98 victory. Ayton, despite some early foul trouble, still managed to make his presence felt. Finished with 16 points, 10 rebounds. Game 3 coming your way on Friday in Denver. Oh, it is on baseball where Jazz Chisholm and the Miami Marlins back in action against the Colorado Rockies. Jazz 2 for 5 in Game 1 of that series, a repeat performance in Game 2 last night. Again, going 2 for 5 with an RBI. Marlins, unfortunately, taking another loss. They go down 4-3. Jazz so far impressive in his rookie campaign. He's batting .273 on the season, 7 home runs and 17 RBIs. And there it is, your check on sports for you this Thursday. I'm Marcellus Hall. Back to you.
Thanks, Marcellus. Climate change may be changing the way we prepare for storms. The details when our news returns.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
Welcome back to our news. More pleasant conditions ahead. Greg has the details in the Weather Center.
Welcome back, everybody, and thanks again, Christina. Taking a look at our second view of the weather, satellite imagery showing that high-pressure ridge remaining firmly in charge of our weather, dominating us with some very dry conditions. And of course, those temperatures are getting up near the 90-degree mark. That will continue to be a trend for the rest of the weekend. Of course, we are watching that area down near the southwestern Caribbean. The National Hurricane Center is actually not watching it right now, but they expect it to move in the Gulf of Mexico by next week. So we'll continue to monitor that over the next several days. Boating forecast for the northwest Bahamas, southeast to southerly flow, 10 to 15 knots, seas 2 to 4 feet over the ocean. While in the central and southeastern islands, your winds will be more east to southeast at 10 to 15 knots. Seas will be running 2 to 4 feet over the ocean. Your high tide will be at 8:58 tonight. Here's a look now at your national forecast. A look now at your extended forecast through Tuesday. Beautiful but warm conditions expected into the rest of the week and the weekend. That's your look at weather. Back to you, Christina.
Thanks, Greg. Well, hurricane preparation is a part of Bahamian culture. We learn how to prepare from our parents and our grandparents, but some practices we may have developed may actually do more harm than good in the face of a major hurricane. The Weather Channel's hurricane expert, Dr. Rick Knabb, recalls his earliest experiences with hurricanes.
Well, I was growing up as an elementary school child in southern Florida, in the Fort Lauderdale area, and I distinctly remember us getting ready for the approach of Hurricane David in 1979. And before we knew any better, we were putting tape on the windows at our home. And that is something we have learned is not a good idea. It is something that doesn't actually make your windows any stronger. You waste time, you waste money, and then if the windows break, as they would anyway, they can break into larger, more dangerous pieces.
Climate change has transformed the storms we see into stronger hurricanes with more intense impacts, and we have to adapt to those changes.
There's a lot that I've learned, and we've all learned, about how to better prepare for hurricanes. And putting tape on the windows, while it feels like it's something worthwhile, is not a good idea. And also we've all learned the importance of evacuation, getting out of the water, because water kills more people than wind in hurricanes.
Dr. Knabb and other experts weigh in on climate change and hurricane preparedness in The Breakdown. Are we ready for the next big one? Airing on Monday, June 14th on RTV. Well, thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Christina Dragovich. Have a beautiful evening, Bahamas. On the Record with Jerome Sawyer starts right now.